got together at this table.
Been a couple weeks. Yep.
Yeah, we've been together at other tables, not with microphones,
Not with lights.
not with lights, cameras. But it's been a big couple weeks in Cookeville, and honestly in the world.
Real big. Yeah.
In Cookeville, Tennessee, if you didn't know, we got a big tornado that came through. Actually, multiple tornadoes, but one of them was like an F4 and ran through some neighborhoods on the west side of town. So we both had friends that lost their homes
Completely gone.
completely.
Yeah.
We had people that lost their lives. It's been a hard 2 weeks, and what I've noticed is the volunteerism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Honestly, it surprised me a little bit that at the number it was.
Oh, yeah. No, they were having to turn people away at one point.
They were turning volunteers away.
I remember the day one of it, that Tuesday morning, and I saw and I shared it with some guys that I work with. I was just like, is this not just awesome to be in that sort of community where the police department was posting on Facebook, guys, we have plenty of help. Please, don't clog the streets or however to get in there. We're needing to make a way, but thank you. Yeah. I was just amazed at that.
Well, they had I drove by, they did like a meetup on Wednesday for volunteers to check in at a parking lot in town. And I was going to go and I was going to check in and register and stuff, and it was a madhouse. Yeah. And so I went there and I was like, nope. And so I just found a way to sneak in to the zone.
Right, yeah.
And then go to my friend's house to work. But like it was madness. There were so many people. So they capped it that day at like 2,500 or something like that, and then turned people away and said, hey, maybe later. And it was kind of it was so much, it was almost negative. But they figured it out now. I mean, they've got systems in place now. But again, the thing that sparked all this was like, that's the hearts of people. Like when disaster strikes, when things are tough, when somebody's in a bad spot, the hearts of people are to help other people.
Yeah.
In vast majority. Now, we had a couple looters that went out there. You know what I love? Did you see this? A couple looters went out and like were stealing stuff, and the police caught them and then put the mugshot right on the internet. It was like,
you do not want to be that guy.
No, the public opinion.
Yeah. Oh man.
But that's that's the heart of the people.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And it, I noticed through it all too, like even around town now, we have these big National Guard trucks. And I was thinking, this might be kind of a hard left turn. But I've been thinking like, I don't normally see presence of military around town, but they are. We've got the National Guard here. It was a state of emergency, and we're official disaster. So we got FEMA in town, TEMA, which is Tennessee's version.
I was about to say, the governor and president.
Yeah,
both
governor and president. And they came here. Yeah, you know what I mean, it was crazy. But like this whole presence of like systems that I don't normally pay attention to are like activated all around me. Yeah, and it's almost like,
and they're very effective.
It's very effective.
Yeah,
and that kind of got me thinking. We've talked before. We said we wanted to talk about it. Some of the social programs we have in our government, in our country, society, that are working, are not working. Some people hate them. Some people love them. I'm a free market capitalist. I like to let the market fix things. You're not a capitalist.
No, and that's. I don't really know where to get started on this. It's like a dog chasing a car, and when you catch it, it's like, what do I do with this? Yeah, like how do I start with this? There's just so much at play when we're defining who we are. So maybe this is a better way to explain it. I've been reading this book by Ezra Klein, and it's called "Why Are We So Polarized?" or it's something like that, and. He was talking about identity politics. He brings that at the beginning, and it's kind of a negative term now. It's seen as like one single group of all-encompassing traits of this one group. If you're from this country, this is the way you think. Yeah. And he was kind of deconstructing that and saying identity politics is just politics. Like we all have identities, and we have multiple identities coming in to influence our decision at any point in time. Yeah. Like I'm a dad. Yeah. I'm white. I'm a man, at any point in time, those different identities could be reacting to something else. You know, I'm a dog owner. Like, if you're going to talk to me about how cats are, I might take that battle on with you.
Yeah.
So at any point, like, I'm a collection of countless identities.
Yeah.
And
the way you react is like...
It's determined by
those.
So when we look at, his point he was trying to get to was that when we say that, like, we're Democrat or Republican or we're liberal or conservative, that's supposed to be like every liberal is the same way. Like every liberal is a socialist or a communist, and every person who believes in the free market or capitalism, like that's who you are. It's like, no, I can believe that the free market works in some places. Yeah. And in some places it should stay away.
Okay.
Or it just is designed to fail. You know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about some of those areas.
Yeah.
And I think the area I want to talk about first might be the only one we get to today. I don't know. But is healthcare. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's been a debate. Honestly, I did some digging over the last couple of weeks just on, because we had talked about FDR. Yeah. Let's talk FDR because FDR is one of those polarizing figures because he was a rich fat cat, generational wealth too. Not he wasn't first generation.
He did not have to work at all.
No. And so when he came into office, he was really put in office by some rich dudes in America.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, the support there for his.
Well, he was like a rock star. Yeah. In the political world. Yeah. In the 20s, right before, and it lined up almost perfect because he had this great public image as like the New York governor, and then he caught polio. And so he had to retreat and heal from that, and he was reintroduced into politics like right at the end. So he could come in being like, I wasn't a part of this.
And this is
the crash. I can come in and fix it.
Yep. He came in, And so, and I think you see FDR, but he came in really supported by big money, but he had overwhelming support because people loved him as a figure.
Right, yeah.
But then once he gets in and starts writing policy, the big money's not happy.
He's called a class trader. That's what they call them.
Trader, yeah. And they get aggressive with him. And all of a sudden he becomes kind of this people's guy. But the crazy thing that's happening here in late 20s going into the Depression and then on through the 30s is, from what I've read, you see people coming out of a heightened wealth or almost like a fake bubble of wealth.
Yeah, that's it.
And heightened great times. People are living large.
The roaring 20s,
those roaring 20s, and then when you get into the Depression, it's like all the fake stuff got stripped away and people were lost.
Well, that was where he came to clean up. Was so for forever, the way the family structure was set up is, you took care of your kids. Well, you got married, you had kids, took care of them, and when they grew up and you were too old to take care of yourself, you kind of relied on them. Yeah. But what happens when that system is going on, it's working. Yeah. And then the bottom falls out, and your kids don't have jobs. Yeah, you all of a sudden you have,
or they lost their lives in World War I.
Yeah. So what happens when that security is gone? Who steps into? Because we don't just let those people starve.
No.
Do we? I mean, I think that's the point where you have to come from. It is, in my way of coming to this conclusion, is I don't want people to starve to death, and in a country that it's available, like there's food available to them. They just don't have access to it. They don't have access,
yeah. And I think, so to get to healthcare, this is what I was reading. This guy named Long, he was a politician from New Orleans back there in the 20s, going into the 30s. Really liked an idea of single payer system, really way ahead of his time in America, but not way ahead of his time in the world.
Right.
In Europe, they had started seeing some of this stuff develop. He liked it a whole lot.
Yeah.
FDR comes into office. So you have, this working class that is kind of rallying behind this idea of
well, they're starving. They're without homes, they're without work. Like they're not asking to take care of
the
me.
Unemployment's crazy high.
Yeah, I need a job. That's not asking for to sit back and do nothing.
Yes,
so please just provide me a way to provide for my family.
Yeah, and so that's on the tails of this. So FDR gets in office with the rich fat cats behind him.
Yeah,
and he proposes what most people look back on a very socialist system. I mean, honestly,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this idea, but it was really a compromise because it's not necessarily where he was sitting
No,
when
he
came into
said
office.
when he came in, he said he came in to save capitalism.
Yeah.
It's like it's clear. It's clear at the heart of capitalism is ambition. You know, I don't want a ceiling to where if I make over this much money, you take it all away.
Yeah.
Like but that ambition that goes unchecked can turn into greed, and that is what happened right before the 20s. Is we've got these speculators who are just creating this bubble, and then it pops, and they don't really suffer from it.
They don't
that
suffer
much.
from it. No,
it's the people who worked in the factories and the steel yards and all that stuff that they had nowhere to go.
Yeah, and I think that's the idea that he came into office to save capitalism. And you had mentioned that, like, once you make a certain amount of money, then the government takes.
Well, that's the idea.
That was
that's
Long.
The fear.
That was actually Long's. Well, Long's idea was at 3 million wealth
per year, or just.
I think it was just complete wealth. So his was a little.
That was a lot more back then.
His was real left. But so 3 million complete wealth. It's 100% taxes on everything you make. And that was what FDR's like.
Whoa.
Hold on, that's not anywhere close.
But when you've got an angry mob, that
you have to find middle ground.
Exactly. Like you've got to come in and compromise. It's like, okay, we got to feed these people because hungry people are. That was a quote from him: "Is hungry people are what dictators are made out of." Like I can take this swell if I can speak well enough and offer them what they need. I can bend them to my will. And
maybe get elected 4 times.
Exactly. Well, that was
which he did.
I was bringing that. I was going to bring that up. Is I heard this one guy talking about he just called it socialist platform, and he was saying, I'm going to deliver this way worse than he did, but it was that what would the greatest generation think about a deal where you're guaranteed a job? We put artists to work, and I guess they're going to make monuments, and I guess we'll put them in the state capitol. We're going to give electricity to everybody. We're going to create these big government programs that just
create jobs.
Yeah. He's like, what do you think they would have voted him in 4 times?
Which is what they did.
Yeah, he died in office.
Which is the only reason he didn't get elected a 5th time, probably.
And after that, they were like, whoa, we got to make some new rules, guys.
Yeah.
Clearly, if someone does a great job at this, the people will keep electing him and make us look bad when we try to play politics.
That's so true. But I ask the question now. Roaring 20s, incredible wealth, a little bit inflated, like not a little bit, very inflated, a little bit fake, a bubble on top.
Yeah.
Going into the Great Depression.
Yeah.
People lost jobs, high unemployment. It feels like now, and I'm not like a fear monger,
right.
But like this feels like
it's like history.
Right now.
They say history doesn't repeat itself; it just rhymes, and it's like I'm hearing the same sort of refrain in what's happening in the news, what's happening with the economy. We can clearly, if we made the mistake once, we can make it again.
But I mean, with so we had 9/11 in early 2000s, right?
Had the 08 crash.
It wrecked us. 08 crash, right? And then we get President Obama, and we end up with years of market growth, good thing. You know what I mean? We experienced some unemployment there. Towards the end, that starts picking back up, and all of a sudden people have jobs again. Like we see it kind of roaring back up.
Yeah.
And are we roaring towards a crash or something fake? And when we do, will we have programs or some sort of infrastructure in place to make sure sick people are getting medicine when they need medicine, care when they need care? Are we making sure that people have homes to live in, making sure people have jobs to go to?
Yeah.
Are we doing those things?
Well, that was FDR's, he didn't live long enough to really push this forward. But near the end of the war, he was pushing for a second Bill of Rights, that there are certain inalienable rights that's self-evident, that you have the right to a job. Yeah. Every person should have a right to a home, to healthcare, to affordable healthcare, whatever that looks like. Yeah. Right now, it's looking like, with everything happening with the coronavirus, like it's looking like we need some sort of very large foundation of like support from an institution bigger than, I don't know, local communities, maybe even state communities. Yeah. I just don't see an answer for it outside of that. Yeah.
And the coronavirus, it is, I make a lot of jokes about the coronavirus.
We made one about the coronavirus like 2 episodes ago.
Oh yeah,
I think we did.
Oh, maybe. But like, I make a lot of jokes about it.
Yeah.
But like, I've got a bunch of friends suffering, not because of the illness, but because when you lock down and you cancel tour dates and when you cancel shows, I've got a bunch of friends that they're not gonna have work for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, our economy is a consumer base. What happens when you shut that down?
You take away entertainment, and you impact so many people, and this goes all the way from promoters who, like, I mean, people might figure them to be the richer, higher class. They tend to be more conservative. So you have them, but then you have the performers, the artists. They could be anywhere politically mapped. You have crew members that are out there, and then you have like dock workers, and union guys working at these buildings. They are not going to have work.
Yeah,
that's a scope of the whole gamut.
I was just going to add to that list was like the NBA shutting down.
Yeah.
The janitors who clean up after a game, you know, as low as you want to go down like the pay scale, those people are going to be without work,
all hurting.
How are they going to pay their bills?
And this is the thing. Like, I look at it. It was the coronavirus was excluded. I've got friends that are promoters. It's the world I worked in. The coronavirus was excluded from insurance claims. It's going to be on promoters. It's going to be on Live Nation for you know what I mean, and AEG and all the big guys out there. They're going to have to foot this bill, refund these tickets. It's ugly. They're going to get hit, but them getting hit hard is like, that's a bad year. We're going to recoup it next year.
Yeah, right.
But a janitor not being able to make his mortgage for a few months, or not, you know what I mean? It's going to take him much longer than a year to recoup it.
Most people are, I forget this. Some study I was looking at, it was put out by the Federal Reserve. They were saying that most people can't afford a $400 emergency.
Yeah.
Or well, a good percent. I think it was like 10 to 15.
Dave Ramsey supports that.
Yeah.
I mean, he supports the same idea.
Half of the population would have a very hard time with a $400 paycheck. And by minimum wage standards, like 400 is, you take away 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that's what you're looking at.
That's it. Yeah, that's an emergency. Yeah. So, we started off talking about healthcare, and I think
we went down the inequality rabbit hole.
We did, and I think we want to do a series of episodes that look at all those, like the FDR-ish programs, like the things that like we now rely on heavily and haven't been adjusted that much.
No,
you know, they've been adjusted some, tweaked depending on whatever the ruling party wants, but for the most part are still in place and still up. We're all saying, hey, these need to be changed a little bit, or they need to be done away with, or they need to be strengthened. You know, all these different things. We're talking about it right now, and so I think people being out of work. You know, what does welfare look like? What does unemployment look like? People, healthcare with coronavirus. I think coronavirus isn't as much of a health scare as what it is an economic crash.
Right.
I mean, I got an email from my financial advisor. He emailed me this email, send out to everybody, and he's like, hey, in times like this, you know, it's rough and you get a little nervous and stuff. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so I pulled up my Charles Schwab app. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Like 20% disappeared.
Yeah.
It was insane.
But
in these times where we're scared to death, where jobs are being put on pause, people aren't necessarily losing jobs. They're being put on pause though, and it's creating a problem. What do we have, you know, to help us out?
You see some guys talking about right now. They're pushing through I forget the name they use. I mean, it's basically a welfare package. Like, it's going to be a stimulus for the working class, and they're calling on, you know, utilities not to shut down water for people who are missing payments during the next couple weeks.
It seems ridiculous we have to communicate that, but that's
I mean, that's at the heart of it. It's you're consuming, so pay me. So if you're not, if I'm not being paid, why would I provide a service? And it's in these moments of tragedy where it isn't like a section of the country is affected and then a big section is not, and the big section helps it. The other one, we can't count on that now because everyone's affected.
Yeah.
You look at the toilet paper scare that's going on nationwide right now.
That's insane.
I mean, that's the stark difference between like what we witnessed with like the tornado relief here.
Yeah.
It's like there was clearly people affected and people who weren't, and the people who weren't like just did everything they could to help these people.
Yeah.
But when we're all mixed up in it, you know, it's harder to help someone
when we all need the service. It's hard to have anybody to offer the service.
Yeah. I mean, I went to Walmart yesterday to get diapers, and they're for my son, and there was only one package left, so I took it. You know, that's how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, that stinks for the next person who comes, but
yeah,
what can you do in that situation?
So I think that's the question that we're going to be dealing with over the next few episodes.
What can I do?
What can I do?
Or should I be supporting something bigger than me that can swoop in and help?
Because we're going to need something bigger than you. Because you're going to take the pack of diapers.
Because clearly when all of us are affected, there needs to be some sort of like third party entity that is stepping in and filling the needs when we can't fill the needs for our neighbors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I know what you're saying, and I think I agree with you on that. I think we need that third party. What does that third party look like? How much power do they have?
Yeah.
How much control do they have? How much do we get to speak into it?
Exactly.
I think that's what we're going to be talking about coming up. Cool. So, guys, keep tuning in with us. We've got a few more episodes coming up.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about.
At least 2 more.
And I think we're going to talk about, let's wet the whistle a little bit. I think we're going to be talking about healthcare more. I think we're going to be talking about Social Security.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about some just inequality in general.
Inequality in general. I think
because when we're talking about like being good, it's not so much just like this ideal, being ideologues where we, you have to live this way or you're a bad person. There's a bunch of needs not being met right now.
Yep.
And those people who have needs don't necessarily have a voice.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I mean, myself included, even still, like there are people that go under my radar.
Yeah.
If I learn about them, I probably am going to have a heart for them.
Yeah.
That's the case with anyone. When we run into people who have needs, like we want to help them. That's just in us if we have the ability to help them. So I think that's going to be a topic, is just discovering, like pulling the carpet up and finding what's hiding underneath.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. So we're going to keep recording here, but we're going to break from you right now. So thanks for joining us. Of course, YouTube is a great place to jump in the conversation, comment and stuff. But you can get our podcast audio everywhere podcasts are available.
Yeah.
So iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you go, you can get it. We have an RSS feed that you can just plug into any player you have. It'll grab it. But keep joining us. Jump in the conversation. Talk to us. Maybe even comment on this one. What would you like to see us talking about in future episodes?
Yeah.
Maybe we can hit some of those. Specifically looking at, how we help another person when they're in distress, or when I'm in distress. What do I look to and what do I hope for?
Yeah.
So good?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us.